Have you ever felt your chest tighten over a completely normal text? Something like, "Hey, I'm coming over in a bit." Your mouth automatically replies, "Yeah, sure, come by." But in your head, a quiet voice whispers, "There goes my peace." If that feeling is familiar, you are absolutely not alone. Inviting friends home is pure joy. Laughter, chatter, food on the table, the house suddenly buzzing with energy. But for some, home means something completely different. Home is sacred ground. It's the only place where the mask comes off, the breathing slows down, and the world finally stops asking for more. And the moment someone steps into that space, even someone they love, something shifts. The air feels different, the silence breaks, and a thin layer of tension quietly spreads through the room. It's not because they dislike the guest, it's not because they're rude or cold, it's because their safe place just got touched. A small visit can feel like a subtle but very real intrusion into the deepest, safest part of their mind. So why does it feel like such an invasion, even when nothing bad is happening? Psychologically, people who value solitude often have something called territorial comfort. Their home isn't just four walls, it's their emotional reset button. Every sound, every object, every tiny routine inside that space is under their control. When a guest arrives, that calm mind, like a still pond, suddenly gets hit by a pebble. There's no disaster, but the ripples move through everything. For many of these people, home is also where they recharge their social battery. Out in the world, they're polite, attentive, switched on. They play the role of the friendly coworker, the good listener, the person who's fine all the time. But when they finally get home, they're allowed to exhale, drop their shoulders, and go back to being their tired but honest self. So when guests come over, even people they truly love, that mask has to go right back on. Suddenly, they're wondering if the house is clean enough, if the conversation is interesting, if their face looks friendly enough. They start listening carefully, nodding, smiling at the right moments, keeping the energy up so things don't feel awkward. All of that emotional effort quietly drains them, like a phone battery dropping percentage point after percentage point in the background. There's something many people like this never admit out loud. Some of the kindest, warmest, most caring people are the ones who feel the biggest relief the second the door clicks shut behind a guest. In that moment, as the lock turns and the quiet comes back, it feels like they can finally breathe again. Not because they hate anyone, but because silence, for them, is like oxygen. Without it, they suffocate. With it, they come back to life. Psychologists say these people often have very strong emotional boundaries. They're not trying to push people away, they're protecting the spaces that keep them from falling apart. To them, home is not a stage, it's not a performance. Home is who they are when no one is watching. That's why they often prefer meeting friends in neutral places, cafés, parks, a favorite spot in the city, anywhere that lets their inner world stay safely behind their front door. In those places, if they get tired, they can leave. If the conversation gets heavy, they can go home without feeling like their space is soaked in someone else's energy. Neutral ground lets them connect with people while still saving one pure, untouched place to return to. For some, this sensitivity goes all the way back to childhood. Maybe they grew up in a home where guests are coming always meant stress, frantic cleaning, parents snapping at each other, criticism, comparisons, or loud gatherings with nowhere quiet to hide. So as adults, the phrase, "we're having people over," lights up their nervous system as if they're about to relive that old tension all over again. Sometimes the fear is all about judgment. Thoughts like, is my place clean enough? Is my furniture too cheap, too plain, too different from what people expect? For self-critical people, every visit feels like an invisible inspection, and they're the student who's always afraid of failing the test. But here's the most important part. There is nothing wrong with wanting to protect your space. You can love people deeply and still need to be alone to breathe. You can be caring, generous, and kind, and still set firm boundaries to protect your inner peace. For some people, the picture of happiness isn't a crowded house full of noise. It's a quiet room, a familiar chair, a warm mug of tea, and the soft hum of their own thoughts. That isn't selfish. That's how they heal, how they stay whole. And when they've had enough of that solitude, they can step back into the world and smile for real, not the performance smile, but the genuine one. So what about you? Are you one of those people for whom home is sacred and guests are complicated? If you are, share your experience in the comments. Your story might help someone else feel a little less weird about themselves. And if you want to understand more of these everyday behaviors that secretly carry a whole world of psychology behind them, hit subscribe. Around here, we unpack ordinary behavior in a way that's gentle, validating, and deeply human.